Good Monday morning, Vital Men. It's good to be with you today. We're continuing our series, Why Do Good Men Get Angry? And today we're going to talk about control. Man, what guy doesn't like control? He wants control. He wants to control not only how things are at work, he wants to control our kids. We want to control our wives, all those things that we look for control for. But when we really realize it, the only thing we really got control over is our attitude in the day. Well, today I want to bring you from the story of the parable that comes out of Luke chapter 15, where we're going to look at where Jesus talks about the parable of the lost son. And in that story, I'm not going to read all of it to you, and we've heard that story so much, but really the son wanted control. He wanted his inheritance. So the father graciously, he relinquishes his control. But when I think about that, he did, but did he? That's something that you got to kind of chew on and think about that a little bit this morning. But he gives his son his money. The son goes out, wild living, partying. I can only imagine. And matter of fact, it says that he goes to a distant land. He doesn't even stay close at home. But the problem is, he runs out of money. And when he runs out of money, he runs out of everything in his life. And now all of a sudden, he has to go out and he starts feeding pigs because there's a great famine in the land. See, the interesting portion of that story, going out and feeding the pigs and sitting in the midst of the pig poo itself, is he had to come to the end of himself and the end of his own control. And I think that's important for us as men to realize that when we get to those moments where we think we have control, and in the midst of all of that, we come to a place of brokenness in our lives and realize we really don't have control of anything anyway, unless what Jesus allows us to have control over. But when he's sitting there and he's in the midst of eating with the pigs, sitting in the pig poo, he comes to his senses and he thinks, you know what, back home, my father's servants have it better than I do. They have good food, they have shoes on their feet, and they also have food in their bellies. So the son says, you know what, I'm going to go back, and I know that I've sinned against heaven and also against my father. And I'm going to go back, and I'm not even worthy to be called his son. But this is the part that I like about the father. I want to read this out of Luke chapter 15. It says this. So it says, as he returned home to his father, and while he was still a long way off, his father saw him coming. Filled with love and compassion, he ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. His son said to him, Father, I have sinned against both heaven and you, and I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Quick, bring the finest robe in the house and put it on my son's back. Get a ring and put it on his fingers and sandals for his feet. And let's kill the fatted calf. We must celebrate with a feast. For this son of mine was dead and has now returned to life. He was lost, but now he is found. So the party began. That's how Jesus is when we get in the midst of our brokenness and we get in these moments of control, and when we relinquish that control and we say, Jesus, I give it back to you. I've realized in my life that sometimes I've had to eat with the pigs themselves and it had to be up to pig poo up to my neck. It's in those moments that you'll make one of two choices. You'll either get angry and so bitter that you'll continue going down the path of destruction of the eating with the pigs. Or you will make a decision, you know what? Even my father's servants have it better than I do here. And at the end of your brokenness, you'll come back to the Father. That's what Jesus does for us every day. In the midst, I don't care where you are in your life, or maybe today you feel like, man, I have messed up something. I've messed up in my business. I've messed up at a business I work for. Man, things at home with my wife are not good. Things with maybe my kids far away or kids that are living in town. I encourage you today, bring it back to the Father. Jesus is always there waiting. And you don't want to miss out on those moments. All we have to do is ask for forgiveness like the prodigal son. He says, I have been sinned against heaven and you. Will you forgive me? Men, that's the way to get rid of anger and to live a less control-filled life and trust Jesus. I hope this sinks in for you today. Next week, we're going to talk about pride. And again, I want to encourage you today, live a vital life. Be the men that God has called you to be, and don't live angry.